I'm stepping back outside the city, continuing with the biggest terraforming project I've ever done, creating this humongous mud cliff in my custom Savannah biome, as well as starting work on a western town. I'm also finishing a project I started over 2 years ago. Let's all sit back in Minecraft. I've not really left this area since we made this in the last video. I love how it looks. I'd like to work again here some more in this video. We're definitely going to try and fill in some more of these, and I'm also just very quickly going to explain to you what the main sort of plan for this area is. You can even see as well, I put some more dirt outlines going around, basically just wrapping across this entire biome border for the savannah. And then this is basically going to be the highest point of the hill, and then it's going to start to slope down, and we're basically going to turn this back into a normal savannah biome, because this was just, of course, a normal savannah biome. I didn't really like it. I changed it into a forest. I didn't really like that either. And now, because Vibrant Visuals is going to be changing the sky and everything, I'm going to put it back to savannah. And who knows, we might even put a little western town out there. Because I think once we've got this massive hill in the way, these two areas will be completely disconnected. They'll feel really far apart. So I think first port of call is to get rid of all of these trees in this area. Maybe even some of these spruce trees. Okay, so you can see that every single tree is removed right up until the border where the biome changes, and right up until the train line as well. I forgot to show as well, this is what I did after recording the last video. I just basically raised up this part of the path. You can see that I put in this spider web as well, which will line up with this part of the path. And then I also spent some time basically just smoothing it out. You can see in amongst these trees will all go, of course. I've built up this dirt terrain here, and then this is basically just the sort of continuation of the slope of the hill. Like I said earlier on, I really am happy with how this area turned out, especially this sort of ruined castle. Very, very happy with it. Before we continue working in that area, this is the East End map room. You can see what the Savannah biome used to look like, what it looks like currently, or before we made all those changes. So I'm going to lock this map, and then we can have a sort of, a side by side. So this is what it used to look like, then it got changed to this, and then we're changing it to something else. It's going to go back to Savannah, of course. Okay, so that's all of the locked maps, you can see that. And then at the end of the video, we're going to replace it with all these maps. We're going to update these once we do a lot of progress here. Now it's just time to get a whole load of dirt, and then we're going to just basically start rolling in those hills. Okay, a lot of dirt was placed. I basically drained all of those dirt barrels that I've got in the base. Take a look at this, just dirt hills. You can see the grass is still spreading in, which is nice. This hopefully won't take that long to spread, but I mean, you can get some fantastic views. Of course, I've just stopped it here. Basically, I just do outlines. What I called them in the last video was cobwebs, and I basically just branch off, and it basically splits it into manageable chunks. Of course, it gives it really nice detail. You can see I've done it over here as well. I'll just fill in the gaps. It's definitely the most efficient way I've found of using it, of filling in these blocks. But take a look at that view from this hillside. I mean, I love it here. And of course, there's a train track here. We're basically just going to build the hill over it, and then we're going to turn this into a tunnel. That bridge will get raised up to match with the height of the path, which is there. There's a lot of space under here. Of course, just scattered lanterns about, making sure mobs don't spawn. But I mean, I am just blown away by this view. Cannot wait to work on this area some more. Of course, there are still a lot of gaps, like I was saying. I need to move this path further up. Like I did in the last video, I basically just kept the blocks in the same position. I've just raised them up. That's why there's big dirt pillars. But once this is all grass, we can then bone meal it, get some trees in. Whilst it's spreading, let's spend some time over here. I basically want to finish off a project which I started such a long time ago. I started this before the channel was even made, because I had this world, it's just my solo world for such a long time, and then I started the channel. These houses have nothing inside. I mean, you can see it's just, there's a crafting table. Who knows how long that's been there. I basically want to just add in some floors in here. I don't think we're going to split up into rooms, but I just want to add some floors. For this mangrove house, we're basically just going to use dark oak planks. This is my favorite one of these houses, by the way. I like that one as well, but this one I just think is so cool. It's kind of set back this really overgrown garden. Of course, there's kind of this walkway that goes through as well, and then this is your view. So I want to try and basically get access to some of these windows, so that's basically why we're putting in floors. And of course, so that the dirt stays rendered, so we can actually spread the grass onto it. There we go, you can see that's the floors in place. I've even put a staircase. I've basically just left room for the walls to go in, and then the staircase can just be boxed around. I think it's quite nice, and of course you get a fantastic view, especially once that all turns to grass and with bone meal and everything. You get a lovely view, you really do. I think that house will get an even nicer view, so let's work on that next. And I'm going to be using pale oak just to basically match with that diorite trim. I think it will look very nice with this blue, and it certainly does. And if you watched the last video, you know that I don't really use torches because they create particles and they're not as efficient as lanterns for lag. You can tell how old this is because there's torches everywhere. This is exactly what I was talking about with this house having a fantastic view. Of course, the ground floor is still very nice. I mean, imagine living in here. This would be crazy. And if we go upstairs, we'll just skip the middle floor. It's even better on the 3rd floor. This is a very strange upstairs, of course. I mean, take a look at that. Once all that's filled in, you can see the area that we just did right there. It's not nearly as good looking as all that. But I mean, it really is quite fantastic living up here. Okay, so I actually just went and did this building and the little pink house next to it. I think this house has got to have my favourite city view, I think. Of course, I think the dark oak works really well in here, but up the top floor, take a look out this bay window over the park, the church. It's lovely. Of course, you can even see the cliffs as well. And then the pink house, I know someone who's going to be very happy to see this on camera. It was great. I didn't even put back doors in this place, which is crazy. But this has a lovely view as well. This was actually the first of these houses that I ever built. I built the pink one just when Cherrywood first came out, and it's certainly very nice here as well. And talk about perfect timing. This guy's right here selling cherry logs. Let's fix that lacquer back door. There we go. This is a long time coming. This has probably been years without having a back door, which is kind of crazy. And you might have noticed a pattern between these two different wood types. That's not intentional. It just happens to work out like that. But we're going to put dark oak in here. A nice rich dark floor. So this has been dark white, dark again. That's unintentional. Okay, so that's the interior for this building done. It looks quite nice as well. What I did upstairs was to cover the stone for the roof, I just put these stairs upside down. I think that looks really cool, and of course we can just chip into it when we need to basically add rooms into these locations. But it's much nicer than just the exposed stone, so I've fixed it for that mangrove house as well. And it's the Purple Gardens estate. There is one more house behind it, but we're not going to touch that just now. But this is a house that I've been looking forward to getting completely done for a while now. There we go, that's all of the original houses done. I say original because that one was made a lot later than these ones. These were all built very similar time to one another. And this has always been one of my favourite ones, just how big and expansive it is. It's got 2 turrets on each side, which I really like. You get some lovely views from this one as well. And then you've even got a balcony as well, which is on top of just that turret right there, which of course is lovely, looking over the Purple Gardens estate. And this one as well, looking over the cliffs that we just built, of course. It'll be very nice once all that is finished. And there's even a large attic space as well. But in the time that it's taken us to tick off this 2-year project, I think all that grass should have spread now, which means it's now time to just start bone mealing it, which is really quite a straightforward and quite satisfying task. I'm just going to try and bone meal every single piece, make sure there's nothing exposed. Of course, the main reason for this is to make sure that Endermen do not steal any of these blocks, because that would not be very good. There we go, lush grass for as far as the eye can see. It looks really nice. We've got these blue flowers up here as well, which is quite different. And then of course you can just see the city back there. It really looks great from up here. I do not like that big sandstone wall. I think it's now time to start putting in some trees. And then at this part as well, I really want to try and work behind the hill as well. I like to try and remove some trees, try and slope this down as well. But where these trees are going to be going is dictated by certain landmarks of the city. I quite like this view where you can see the church there right in the centre. So I think we're going to have a tree probably right here. And of course, you know this trick if you saw the last video, where I basically just place fence posts, place down a sapling, and then bone meal it. And it takes quite a lot of bone meal, so you know you might be here for a little while. That's not what I expected. It's funny because that happened the last time as well we used that trick. The very first time it didn't work, so hopefully the second time it will work. And here we go. Let's hope we get a nice big oak tree. Take a look at that. And that's a pretty perfect size. It's not too big, not too intrusive. Now I need to try and close this gap between this tree and those trees down there. Okay, so you can see that the trees are now in. Not too many. We've still got this lovely line of sight looking over the city, which I'm very happy with. These trees turn out really cool. It's a shame that we can't do any more this side because of course there's a humongous gap in the terrain. It's quite crazy seeing all these just gaps and you look this way and it's completely fine. What's also cool as well, I've not really seen any of these biome specific mobs, so it's pretty cool seeing some of these guys. There's quite this steep incline here, so I'd quite like to just put kind of like a wall, basically in the same style of our castle, looking over the city. And I think we're going to start right there. And then I've got some mossy slabs as well, which I'm just basically going to scatter around this kind of area. There we go. So something that looks kind of like that, just very subtle, and it's basically just another little landmark which is in this area. So if you want to go here for a nice view, you certainly can, and you can just see the town hall poking out up there. This is such a nice spot. And so looking at this kind of area to just get rid of some of these trees and then work on bringing down a slope, basically just maybe more spider webs. I'm not exactly sure. and then that will mark the beginning of getting this area back into Savannah Biome, which will be quite good. There'll be a lot of resources being brought back to the city, which is nice. It's also interesting because I had plans for this second town being right here, but I think we might change it up entirely and go to a completely different style. I'm not exactly sure. I kind of really like the idea of a Wild West town. But take a look at that terraforming from here. That is crazy looking. You can really see how steep these cliffs are. Anyway, let's get some trees taken away. Okay, so you can see that I've cleared out just these trees. You can see where they once were. We got a lot of spruce logs out of it, which is quite nice. Take a look at this sort of rough plan for the terraforming. You can see that there's a bit of a cliff, which I quite like. We're using that mud and the sort of mud bricks as well. That was something that we were going to do originally around there, but we changed it to stone in the last video. So I much prefer that for this kind of area. And then here's something I forgot that I did. These trees here, I've basically just added dark oak stairs and fences and slabs just to try and add a bit of detail, and all of a sudden these rather basic looking Minecraft trees really look quite cool. So there you go, there's a little building technique from me to you. I really like that kind of design. And so I've got a lot of the resources on me. I'm just going to try and plan out some more things. Okay, so you can see I've just kind of put in this support structure. This is the main sort of shape for this cliff face, and I was thinking about this more. If we keep this slope going up at a steady angle, which I think we will, we'll keep going at that kind of angle. That was very close. Eventually, you'll get to a point where it will basically just be rolling hills on this other side as well, and it should connect pretty nicely to this high part up here. So it's all coming together, which I very much like. So now it's quite good because we get to use all that mud that we crafted in the last video. I'm basically just going to fill in every single one of these gaps. You can even see I've connected it up the top to that sort of ridge line that we put in. This really does look quite insane from underneath. Just looking at that massive slope. We could do some crazy things under here. Okay, take a look at these brown cliffs. I think they look really cool. I've just noticed there, that's quite boxy. You might have to change that. But take a look at this. I've just ran out of all the mud blocks. I've also spent some time basically just sloping up this hill. I found a load of dirt in a barrel over there, which has been an excellent help. It's now completely drained. There we go. I'm just going to quickly sort this just now whilst I remember. And that should absolutely sort it. There we go. But you can see I've ran out just here. Very close. So we're going to get some more packed mud as well. The underside is looking as cool as ever. I've even spent some time on the top surface as well, just basically creating that sort of slope that we've got going. Of course, you can see that because it's filled in. And then up top here, you can see the biome basically transitions here, and it really does look very impressive. Of course, once we cut down all these trees, we're just looking at a lovely savanna biome. We'll make it look a lot nicer than just, you know, a regular savanna biome. We'll try and bone meal a lot of the grass, make it look nice and as nice as it possibly could be. But yeah, you can also see that I've spent a lot of time basically just removing the coarse dirt and the podzol as well. I've got a lot of that. I've got even more stored in the little castle, and yeah, I'm making a lot of good progress. But the next thing we need to do is definitely get more packed mud, which is not that hard. It's somewhat straightforward. Okay, so you can see I've now bone mealed this entire area, finished that part of the cliff. We've even started work on a tunnel entrance, which I think is very cool. Because you can see it's just basically following the exact same line of the train tracks, which is kind of crazy. You know, imagine this all of a sudden turning into a tunnel and a huge mountain. It's quite cool. I feel like this little thing here, which was originally a village center, and then I completely destroyed the village, you can see that, and put a train line through it, and I moved all the villagers into this house here. So I'm not exactly sure how we're going to work in this area. It's going to be quite complicated. We might even bury this house partly. I'm not exactly sure. We'll no doubt be burying this entirely. This bridge is going to get raised up as well. It's quite a complicated task. But if we go up on top of these cliffs, and on top of the hills rather, you can see that we've got these lovely meadows, and all of a sudden it turns a bit darker and a bit more lifeless. And you can see it's now basically just these cliffs looking over the Savannah Biome, which is very nice. And of course it's bone mealed up here as well, just to make sure no endermen steal any of the blocks. I think the next thing I'm going to do is try and break some more of these trees down, maybe try and work on a plan for getting this further up and kind of finishing off this kind of area. I'm not exactly sure. Okay, so I've done a lot of terraforming and a lot of removing some trees as well. You can see where a whole lot of trees were. You can see just how much I have changed. I've basically been working on this kind of slope going up here. I can imagine a path following along this way and coming down. This is kind of what I'm going for just now. You can see I've even brought these big lines coming out as well. They connect to the existing terrain like we planned, which is quite nice. And we go further up this hill. This is quite steep. We might smooth this out some more just so we can make it easier for a path. The path's going to cut through this little gap here, and then take a look at that view of the city and everything. It is some view. I've even brought out some of the terrain here. Of course, I've not filled it in terribly much. I've done some things here as well, where we've got another scaffolding chute back down to the underworld. You can see I've even taken a lot of dirt from the ground as well. This area has completely changed since we started here, not even that long ago. You can see I've cleared out a lot of the trees, it's a lot more open. I've even bone mealed a lot of the grass, even all the way up to the top, up in this sort of area as well. It's very nice. I quite like the combination of the flowers, that was all natural, but still, I think it looks very cool, sort of that red and yellow, it's quite nice. And you can see this sort of cliff face is coming along really well, it's finished right up until the tunnel, and you can see our bone meal down here as well. There's not many trees left in this kind of area. I've removed all the trees this side of the train tracks, which is kind of crazy, apart from that one, but that's fine. Take a look at this, I mean, wow. It is quite impressive, this cliff face. Of course, we're going to smooth this out here, and then we've even got a little cliff face here as well, which I think looks really cool. We could even have some kind of building in this kind of bit. I'm not exactly 100% sure, but I really like how it's turning out. There's loads of saplings just lying around here. But yeah, there's lots of room for potential. It's quite amazing. I'm basically just going to continue removing as many trees as I can. I'm not exactly sure how much I want to remove, but for now, I really want to just try and get this area nice and open. I really underestimated just how many trees were here. This place looks quite spectacular now with all the trees gone. It looks really weird. Oh no, he's got a bit of my hill. Oh, and now he's annoyed at me. There we are. Let's try and find where he took this from. But you can see it really has changed a lot since I've gotten rid of half of the trees. Thereabouts. You can see I've even removed a lot of the trees under here as well. Just going to place that there for now. It really does feel quite great just how open this is now. Of course, I can just imagine once we get this hill in. Whilst I've been working here, I've came up with an idea which I really quite like. This whole what was going to be a town, which I think will no longer be a town, which I think will become a town once more. We're going to basically remove everything that's here. There's going to be a little western town. I think the first step for that is a little house right here. So we're going to spend a lot of time just basically removing all of this podzol and everything here. What's quite good is I'm pretty sure I just layered this all on top of the existing terrain. So I can basically smoothen this out and then start to just remove all this. And then basically the original layer of dirt will then be returned and basically the grass will just spread back onto it. There we go, so you can see this hill is now in, looking quite nice and smooth. What a contrast between what it was to now what it is to what it originally looked like. It's quite strange, this area. It really is just an amalgamation of so many different biomes, but I'm glad we're bringing it back to what it once was. And better, because I mean, look at these cliffs. It really does look nice. So a big house, well, a decent sized house right here. I'm probably going to use jungle wood and other things like that. I really want this place to look quite rough and like it's been in the desert sun beating on it forever. We might even change these to a bit of a lighter wood. I'm not exactly sure. We might do that after or midway through the tunnel. I'm not exactly sure. Okay, so you can see I've got the starts of a little house. You can see it was once right here. I just pushed it back a few blocks so it's set further back into the hill. I think it's quite nice. It's quite, you know, I'm using a lot of different textures here, like the beehive textures, just try and rough it up. I'm going to put some signs as well, just to try and add a bit more texture on it. But I really like the shape. There's going to be a little balcony here or a porch, which will again be looking over the future town once that's built up. I think it's going to look very nice, especially in this kind of area. I did say I was going to use jungle wood, but I feel like oak just works a lot better. There's a lot more variation for blocks with oak wood as well. So I'm going to keep building this. It should look quite good. Okay, so that's that house completed. I quite like how it turned out. I'm not 100% sure with the roof. I feel like once you get more buildings around here with that kind of roof, I feel like it'll really make a difference and look quite good. You can see that inside's very basic, but still, it looks quite nice. You've even got a barrel in here with resources. You get some lovely views looking over the train tracks, and then there's a back door as well, which comes out looking over these hills. Taking a look from on top of the cliff, you can see, again, it's just very grey. I'm not exactly sure about the roof, but still, we'll keep it for now, like I said. You can even see I've even marked out a sort of boundary for the plot, and then eventually there can be a path coming down here next to it, and then it'll curve in as well, and then curve down going into the town. I want to try and add in some fence posts, add some more bone meal in here as well. I'm going to run back to base and get that, and whilst we're back in the city, let's add one of you guys onto the comment wall. And it certainly feels quite nice to be back in a built up area. I'm not really, this sounds strange, but I'm really not used to being in just an open sort of area like that. I'm used to all these buildings and everything around me. And the person going on the wall from the comment in the last video is JammyBoy2, saying this looks amazing, but with all the room underneath, I thought maybe you could put like an underground port that is connected to the river and looks a bit shady. Not huge, but not tiny. I thought that was such a cool idea that is definitely something that I'll be doing in the future. Man, I know exactly the vision you're kind of talking about, and I cannot wait to build it. So thank you very much for that comment. And again, that's another person that's been so active in the community for a while now, so thank you very much. Anyway, I'm going to grab some bone meal. I'm also going to grab a lot of bushes as well. Try and do this kind of technique where I've got the fence posts and then the bushes in between. I'm not exactly sure. Something like that. It should look quite cool. There we go, that's all the bone meal in. I even added some hedges as well. This looks so cool now. It really does look and fit in this area, I feel, very well. So I'm very happy with it. I feel like we've done a lot in today's video, like a lot. We've cleared out so many trees. We've completely brought back this entire section of the savannah. We've even added in these humongous cliffs as well. I'm very happy. I hope you are as well. So thank you very much for watching. I really do appreciate it, as always. Thank you very much.